right, ladies and gentlemen, a little change of pace right now. Joining us is Dick Belsky. He's an author. He's covered the news for over 30, 35 years in New York, Daily News and other venues. And he's also the author of a great new book, Shooting for the Stars. And it's a Gil Malloy novel. We'll explain all this to you. And here he is. Hello, Dick. How are you? Good to see you, sir.
Great, Steve.
Now, we should explain right off the bat that the book is written under the name R.G. Belsky.
Right. I have two identities.
Yes.
R.G. Belsky is the author name. Dick Belsky is the name I use as a journalist. But I put it all together pretty much in the book. And the book is about celebrity crime and it's about media, which are two of my favorite topics. And I found that writing about celebrity crime to me seemed to be a great topic for a mystery because the stories are so fascinating that I've covered in real life.
And by the way, we should point out there's no slight or disrespect meant for what happened in the terrible shooting in Virginia, which was in a way a celebrity shooting and crime and whatever. So this is just coincidental that we're doing
well,
this.
I don't. Yeah, I'd say that is a. I mean, that's just horrible
Yeah.
tragedy, and I don't really. To me, that's not the kind of
Separate.
celebrity
Yeah, I just want to
crime
point
we're
out
talking
to
about.
anybody watching
When
who
I,
might be thinking.
when I talk about celebrity crime, I'm just thinking about cases. I mean, going all the way back to Marilyn Monroe. So many celebrity crime cases in real life are filled with unanswered questions.
Yeah.
We don't know. In real life murders, somebody kills somebody in robbery, or they're jealous of their wife, and you kind of know what happened. Marilyn Monroe, you know,
did she kill herself?
Did she kill herself? Was
Right.
was it an accident? Was she murdered?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
And I should also add that can you imagine if there was social media around with Marilyn Monroe?
oh
Like
my
this would be
gosh.
amazing.
And
But
we don't even know. I mean, we don't even know who. We think we know, but we don't know for sure who killed Nicole and Simpson.
I was going to say O.J. We still don't know exactly what. I mean, I think most people believe
Believe
they
it
know
was
the answer,
O.J.,
but
yeah.
we still don't know what happened that night.
Right.
What happened outside that
Right.
house? There's Natalie Wood. I mean,
Yeah.
people still don't know what happened
Yeah.
on that boat. And then, you know, when you get into celebrity death in general, whether it's a crime or not, you have Princess Diana. I mean, what really happened? You know, okay, was the driver?
John
was
Lennon,
there
we know.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because the premise of my book is a little bit based on a John Lennon type murder. It involves a legendary actress gunned down in the streets of New York City by a crazed stalker, sort of like a Mark David Chapman.
Yes.
But in my book, it's like, well, what if that wasn't the way it really happened? What if there's more going on? And my character, Gil Malloy, who's a reporter at the New York Daily News.
Gee, could that have been you?
Well, I worked at the New York Daily News. It's not. It's a lot of people I knew who were better reporters than me. And he links this to a series of other celebrity murders, and it becomes clear to him that somebody is targeting celebrities. And it's kind of based on the John Lennon thing, but the great thing about writing a novel is you can then say, like, oh, I don't have to follow the facts.
Sure.
I can make stuff up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I do here. And I try and bring a lot of my celebrity background into the book, and also a lot of my media background about what goes on in a newsroom into the book. But it's hopefully a little more, even more interesting because it's fiction.
Yeah, and it's a great read, and it's a great page turner, as they say, and you're not going to want to put it down. So if you're into novels and excitement, pick up Shooting for the Stars.
I write it like like you write a tabloid news story.
Well, yeah,
Fast.
we're going to get to that next. Right.
Very quickly.
Right. Now you've covered. I mean, you've been in New York for as long as I have, almost.
Yeah.
Or you know, if you add it all up, it's an obscene number of years.
Yes.
Donald Trump. I mean, you've covered
yes.
him for a long, long time. Are you surprised by his success?
I am, like most people I think are, the chord he struck with people. But the one thing I found about Donald Trump is, so I wound up covering him a lot about 25 years ago when he was really a huge celebrity story at the time for people who don't remember, when he first divorced Ivana and ran off with Marla Maples. There was a huge confrontation on the ski slopes of Aspen, and that was my first big story at Star Magazine, and it was huge. I mean, and that led to, of course, the famous New York Post headline. I wasn't at the Post then, but you know, best sex I ever had, which I guess if you're going to wind up in the New York Post is probably about as good a thing as somebody could say about you. And
I think Ken Chandler had a hand in that.
Yeah, he probably did. And then Donald Trump came to, I remember, to lunch at the Post, and so I met him, and he was the same guy you see. He'd be like very charismatic, but he'd also be like, could be like, ooh, did he really say that? And interesting enough, I actually wrote a magazine article, but a magazine doesn't exist anymore, about Donald Trump, and it was like around that time. It was about all his excesses and all his successes, and he's the same guy.
He is the same guy. He absolutely is the same guy. I go back to the sports days. I used to do our sports talk show at WABC from Trump in Atlantic City before fights and stuff. Same guy. He says what he means. He's a businessman.
Right.
And a businessman, for the most part, is going to be crude a little bit and say what he means.
And I think that's obviously the
But
key to his success. He's real.
All right, and so is this book, although it's not true. It is real, and it's exciting. And the book, again, is Shooting for the Stars by R.G. Belsky. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, we're coming back with more. Don't go away, folks.